So what I thought we'd do tonight is have a look at some galaxies. Now, we're used to seeing galaxies in the telescope and they come in different shapes and sizes. But when Sir Isaac Newton invented gravity, we've then realised that galaxies can often stick together. They're often gravitationally bound together into clusters. And then these clusters can be bound together as well, gravitationally bound together. So we have clusters of galaxy clusters. And what we're going to look at tonight is the Pisces Perseus supercluster. Now, this is one of the largest objects in the known universe. So even though it's 240 million light years away, it actually spans 40 degrees across the night sky. So what we're going to do is have a look at the clusters that make up this galaxy cluster. Now, there's far better channels to watch than mine for detailed astrophotography, but what we will do is bring you those live views, so live as the camera can see it, bearing in mind they're 240 million light years away. So we use the SharpCap live stacking software, and that brings you those beautiful views of the distant galaxy clusters. And looking at the sky out the window, it's forecast to be clear. We've got a few hours of clear skies until it gets properly dark. So I'm hoping the clouds stay away long enough, and we'll bring you some bonus footage as well. It's one of the most interesting galaxies I've found in the autumn sky. And then obviously we'll end with the winter highlight, or the winter highlight from the northern hemisphere anyway. So there's going to be some technical terms in this video, and for the younger ones amongst you, this is called a book. So it's a bit like an app, and it shows you the stars as they appear in the night sky. So we're going to start off here in Pisces. So if you follow the line along, you can actually see there's this line of galaxies in the star atlas. And these are the galaxy clusters. We're going to stop off and have a look. Now, if I turn the page, you can actually see that line carries on all the way into Perseus. That's why it's called the Pisces Perseus supercluster. So fingers crossed the sky's clear, but just waiting for it to get dark. So what I'll do then, while we wait for it to get dark, is I'll go and show you the telescope and show you the setup of what we've got. And then once it's dark, we'll then roll the roof back, and then we can then do some live stacking. So welcome to the observatory. It is a pretty cold and chilly evening. I think back to being out here in the summer when we did the solar imaging, and I was sort of melting and getting heat exhaustion. Those days are long gone. It's pretty cold and it's pretty damp, but it's a cold, clear night, so what more can we ask for? So this is the Celestron C11. I've had this for years now. I bought this second hand from a guy in the astronomy club who was using this for deep sky imaging, wasn't having a lot of luck, and I wanted to get a lunar and planetary telescope, so I bought this second hand. I think I've had it for some 7 or 8 years now. It's a telescope I've certainly had the longest and got the most value out of. Really enjoy it. Celestron don't sponsor me. They are more than welcome to if they wish. I'm more than happy to take a Celestron 11 Edge from them, but I don't think that's going to happen anytime soon. So this is the old style Celestron C11, and I've really enjoyed it. You can put the Barlow in, go up to f20, get all the wonderful details in the moon and planets, or you can put the f6 focal reducer, which is what I do for my live stack, and I swap over the Barlow and the Crayford focuser, and then go to the f6, so f6.6 focal reducer. So it means I'm not shooting at a really high f ratio, but of course with an 11-inch scope at f6, you still got lots of lovely focal length to capture all these wonderful details in the deep sky objects. So this is the Player One Saturn-M camera. It's a mono camera, so it means I don't get the wonderful colours of the deep sky objects, but being a mono camera, it's a lot more sensitive, so the signal builds up a lot quicker. You'll also notice on the Celestron C11 I've got a foil blanket. Now, Martin Lewis, when we met him at the Kellinghey Star Party, he recommended wrapping a telescope in silver foil, and that reduces that radiative cooling out to deep space. It means your telescope doesn't cool down below ambient, so you don't get the tube currents, the cold air currents flowing down inside your telescope. So I've been using this for a number of years. I've actually just splashed out and bought a new camping mat to wrap around it. My old silver foil was getting very tired and tatty. And I have found that makes a difference. I haven't yet quite got round to putting a bit around the telescope, around the primary mirror cell, so I must go and do that as well. So the other upgrade I did in the summer, you can see I've got the dovetail bar up here, and that's because I've replaced the original with a ADM style dovetail bar. Now, I bought that from First Light Optics. They don't sponsor me either. Again, they're more than welcome to if they wish, but I did enjoy buying it from First Light Optics. I was a bit bamboozled by all the options on their website, and they talked me through which dovetail bar I needed to buy. So they do export as well, so if you're overseas, if you're not in the UK, they will supply optics, and I found them to be a very good retailer. So over there I've got the desk, and you'll see I've got a second monitor on there as well. So with the laptop screen you've got all the controls and you can zoom into the image, and the second monitor, having the standalone monitor, means that we get to see the whole camera field of view as well. So we get to see the beauties of both, having the controls on one and the whole view on the other. So the last accessory we've got to go through is the batten-off mask. So what we're going to do is point the telescope at a star. We're then going to adjust the focus, and then we get the proper nice sort of, I don't know what you call it, sort of butterfly shape of the star pattern through the diffraction, through the holes, through those slots in the mask, so then we know we're precisely focused. And I've just put this sort of cardboard rim around it, then I can slip this over the dew shield. Then we know that I don't have to take the dew shield on and off to then check the focus. So the telescope itself sits on an AZ EQ6, which I can therefore control over Wi-Fi. So I either do that from the SynScan app on my phone, or I control it from the laptop and then run it through from the computer. So I've hands-free. I don't have to go and touch the telescope, don't have to use a hand controller. I can all control it remotely from the desk. So I think we're just about ready to start observing now. What I'm going to do is swing the telescope round to Alpheratz. That's the star in the top left hand corner of the square of Pegasus. So it's the brightest star in Andromeda, but actually it makes up the top left hand square of Pegasus. So we'll check our focus, and then we're going to swing across to NGC 383, which is that first of those galaxy clusters. So we're a few minutes into NGC 383. I've got that on the screen behind me, and what you can really see about this cluster is that we've got this long line of galaxies. It's not a swarm of bees, it's not a cloud, it's just this long elongated line. It's quite pretty actually. I've hit the identify button, the NGC button in SharpCap, and that brings out all the names, but it only brings out the brighter galaxies, those in the NGC catalogue or the IC catalogue. So there are fainter galaxies that I'll have to go and look up and see what they are. There's quite a remarkable, very thin edge-on galaxy, very faint, but I'll have to go and see what that is later. So hopefully you can see me in the gloom. I've turned the lights down now, so I can see the stars in the night sky. It's actually got a bit chilly, so I've had to put my coat on, put my jacket on. And the other thing I like to do is, as I watch the image build on the monitor screen, as it takes those, as SharpCap stacks those images one on top of the other, is get my notebook out and do a sketch of the galaxy cluster as well. And I've got a record of my own observations, what I've seen as that image builds up. Yeah, what a beautiful night. Can't believe it. Fantastic. So I'm going to keep a tally of how many NGC galaxies, how many galaxies we've identified. Of course, there's countless more that SharpCap isn't identifying. So we'll just be tallying the bright ones, the white ones that SharpCap knows. But just conscious that each of those galaxies contains how many billion, trillion stars, and we're going to spot so many galaxies tonight. Okay, so the next galaxy we're going to go to is NGC 507. That's the next galaxy along as we inch our way along this sort of supercluster, this cluster of clusters of galaxies. How amazing is this? So we're 240 million light years away. I can't believe this. I've walked out from the kitchen, I've carried my cup of tea, which I've left somewhere. There it is. So I'm carrying my cup of tea, which I've carried out from the kitchen, and I'm sitting here in the garden and I'm looking at galaxies 240 million light years away, and I'm just sitting here enjoying the beauty of the night sky. And so what I love about this, about SharpCap as it stacks it up, is if you move the sliders, adjust those sliders, it just brings out all this faint detail, and it's way more than I can see in the eyepiece. No way you can see details like this just by looking at the eyepiece. You'll be able to see the smudges, but you would be able to be, resolving the sort of details within these distant galaxies. So it's definitely such a good fun way of observing. I've noticed when I'm looking at this galaxy cluster, they've got these two sort of quite interesting sort of edge-on spiral galaxies. The rest are fairly nondescript, sort of elliptical, sort of normal ball-shaped galaxies, but they've got these two edge-on galaxies, sort of inclined spiral galaxies. So what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to adjust the scope and put it so that we've got those two sort of more in the field of view. This one down at the bottom is sort of disappeared off the field of view. So I'm going to realign on NGC 504. So next on the list as we work our way through the galaxy clusters is NGC 708. So we'll put that into the telescope control software, and then we'll swing the telescope across. Now I should have noticed, you can see the telescope is swinging way down south, so I've actually typed in the wrong number. But it's actually quite an interesting galaxy in its own right. I mean, it's quite a pretty one. It's got this sort of little star cloud here. I'll have to go and have a look up, see what it is afterwards. But quite an attractive little galaxy. Again, bazillion light years away, so pretty faint and small. But quite an interesting target, even if I did stupidly type the wrong number in. So let's go back to our correct galaxy, and then we'll carry on with our tour. C708. Go to. We've got NGC, the chair keeps on squeaking. So I've got NGC 708 in the field of view. And I've just adjusted the sliders, and that brings out all these, all those sort of faint, subtle details in the galaxies. But this one's quite a dense galaxy cluster. It's much tighter together than the other ones. It's got those sort of beautiful, sort of faint spiral galaxies in as well. So absolutely wonderful. I'm having such a good time. This is amazing. I'm sitting here in the garden watching these sort of galaxy clusters appear, on the camera screen, filling in the details in my journal, in my logbook. So yeah, what a good fun evening. So it's quite a pretty little galaxy cluster, this one. I love the sort of dense cloud in the middle. You've got the thin sort of edge-on spiral, and then you've got the sort of face-on spiral as well, showing its spiral arms. And 240 million years away, million light years away. Yeah, it's quite a long way, and yet here we are with sort of amateur equipment, amateur telescope in the garden, being able to pick out these faint details. How amazing is this? And it's still clear, the skies are allowing us to see these beautiful sights. So next on this we've got NGC 906, that's that particular galaxy group. So I'm going to zoom across to there. So of all the galaxy clusters we've seen tonight, I'm really quite enjoying NGC 906. Now what's interesting about this one, it's got this beautiful sort of face-on S-shaped spiral galaxy. Alongside that is this sort of edge-on galaxy. And then alongside that is this tiny little galaxy cluster. I presume it's a galaxy cluster. It's not actually coming up when we hit the identify button, but it looks like a little patch of fuzzy stars. So therefore I think they're sort of actually a distant, an even more distant galaxy cluster. So oh, the wind suddenly started picking up as well, so hopefully the skies, fingers crossed, will allow us to carry on. Now NGC 906 is actually alongside one of the most beautiful galaxies I think I found in the autumn. Now I used to really struggle to see this through the eyepiece, but through the telescope it's absolutely stunning. So I'll quickly show you what that one looks like, and then we'll carry on to our last galaxy cluster. So we're going to have a look at NGC 891, which is this fantastic edge-on spiral galaxy, and you can see how much bigger it is, and it's sort of stretching across the field of view. It's that much closer. There's a much more closer galaxy. I think it's only something 20 something million light years away, as opposed to the supercluster in the background, which is 240 million light years away. So what we're looking at here is obviously orders of magnitude closer, and therefore appears much brighter. But I love the detail along the dust lane, you know, yeah, all these sort of little striations and markings in the dust. Again, you know, you can see the outline through the telescope, through the C11, and you can see the dust lane, but it's pretty faint. It's nothing like this. So that's why I'm becoming a big fan now of this live stacking. It's turned this telescope into a large aperture, you know, super aperture. Well, that window suddenly picked up again. So cool. Right, let's stop me rabbiting on. Let's go and get our last galaxy then. Hopefully the wind will stay away and we can carry on observing. So we've got 1275 on the screen now. Compared to some of the galaxy clusters we've seen tonight, it is not that attractive. It just seems to be full of ellipticals. There's none of these galaxies with beautiful spiral arms or all the details therein. So we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. We've got 12 galaxies, you know, in the field of view. So that's pretty cool. If you think each galaxy's got, you know, several trillion stars, and each star's got several planets on there, that's an awful lot of objects we've got in the field of view. Now, I don't know if you've seen over my shoulder when we've been looking at the telescope with the other camera, we can actually see the Orion Nebula. The Orion Nebula has now finally cleared the tree line. So having looked at all these impossibly faint galaxies, you know, they're sort of appearing as smudges. It smudges even into the camera. I'm now going to switch across and enjoy what is probably the highlight for me of the winter sky, you know, highlights for us in the Northern Hemisphere. So bearing in mind we've been struggling to see these sort of faint galaxies, you know, these galaxy clusters right out in sort of the depths of space. When we look at the Orion Nebula, it's so close to the Earth. It's obviously in our own galaxy in the Milky Way, but it's so much closer. It's actually filled the field of view. And I've had to turn the exposure down to stop it overexposing, oversaturating the pixels and sort of burning out the image. I just can't believe it. Look how beautiful this is. And what this is the massive cloud of dust, of gas and dust. And inside it's coalescing together, it's formed stars. Stars are bound together, and it's the energy from these stars that's causing the dust cloud, the gas, to fluoresce. What we can see in the night sky. So isn't that amazing? What a way to finish this night of observing. And I am pretty cold now. It's been out here for sort of a couple of hours doing this thing. But look how many galaxies we've observed. Plus of course we swung across to NGC 891, that beautiful edge-on galaxy. And then finished on seeing stars being born in the Orion Nebula. So sure beats watching TV. Don't forget as well, we've started the Patreon account. If you have signed up, then thank you very much indeed. And it really does mean a lot to us, because it means we've got more resources. It means we can then produce these videos and put them together too, so we can all enjoy observing the night sky. So I found this observing night absolutely fascinating, but I can't claim the credit for putting it together. I actually watched a webinar by the British Astronomical Association, and the speaker was Owen Brazell. And Owen is one of the UK sort of leading deep sky observers, or if not the leading deep sky observer. He's forgotten more about deep sky observing than I know. So do watch Owen's presentation, it's really interesting. That's where I got this information from. So what I found interesting about Owen's presentation was that he was talking about observing these objects through large aperture telescopes, through 20-inch, 24-inch Dobsonians. And what we've shown tonight is you can have that same sort of magnitude, that same light grasp, But again, using the power of the camera makes this smaller amateur telescope into a large aperture observatory. So last month we started our Patreon account, and thank you to those who signed up. As we were saying, these videos, although they are free to watch and free to air, they certainly aren't cheap to produce. So your support goes a long way into helping us, one, get the equipment, and two, have the time to prepare and then edit these videos for publication. So thank you for your support. If you would like to find more, we've put the link to the Patreon down below, and we've put it in the description as well. So I'll wish you all a lovely Christmas, and I'll look forward to bringing you more videos as we explore the night sky. Oh well. Oh, you've gone to the wrong one.